In this day and age, there are so many games to pick from nowadays, and I seem to find that a lot of them don't like to innovate like they used to, going with the safe option and just picking out stuff what's successful from other games and just implementing it into their own stuff. If you've clicked on this video, this means you've come across a game called Escape from Tarkov, and you would like to know whether this is worth your money or not. In this video, I will cover the good, the bad, and the different versions of Escape from Tarkov, and also be talking about the future of this game and whether it will stand by the test of time, similar to like Rainbow Six Siege and other games like this, what have got better over time and lasted between 5 to 6 years before dying out like some other games do. Let's start with the good, and one of those things is the gunplay. I really don't think there is a game at the moment what stands up to Escape from Tarkov when it comes to the realistic feel of what it feels like to hold a weapon and to fire it, and all the different modifications that come with it as well to change the feel of the guns and how they react to the person depending on the weight and the different rounds that you use, and I just don't think there is another game that stands up to that at the moment. The one thing you can't forget of, because it's right in your face, is the looks of Escape from Tarkov. This game is gorgeous, and I don't understand how they've managed to do it with a game that came out 6 years ago. It's still looking as good as it is today, and even beating most games nowadays when it comes to how it looks. One of these other points is actually something that's been added in very recently, is actually voice over IP, what stands for VoIP. If you don't know what that is, it allows you to be able to talk to other players in game through a voice communication chat. Hey man, you got any drugs?
Oh, hey.
Hey man,
what?
You got any drugs? You got any drugs, man? I need some drugs.
Drugs? Okay, drugs. Come here.
Drugs.
Chat.
Now, I feel like you don't see this very often in games nowadays, apart from in your survival shooters. But something, as we all know from back in the day, from playing Call of Duty and Halo and stuff like that, talking in game chat to people, which is quite a common thing. But it's still kind of died out nowadays, and I feel like this revitalizes it quite a lot. And with a community just like Escape from Tarkov, where everyone's very, very close knit and likes to help each other most of the time, then you kind of get this different environment, and you get a lot of people trying to lend a hand and helping, and actually some really funny moments when you're bumping into some people and just end up having a nice chat, or just goofing around, or just like trying to murder each other and shouting at each other through the rooms as you're fighting, and it just makes these incredible moments, what you just don't really get in other games nowadays. Now, I already touched on this point very slightly already, but this is actually the weapon modding in Escape from Tarkov. There is not a game out there today what has got this detailed weapon modding system, and when it comes to the restrictions that you have, is very, very limited. So in other games where you can only put one attachment on one place, or like you're only allowed to have one flashlight or one laser or one sight, you can slap on as much as you want. If you wanted to put 50 flashlights on your gun, you can do that as long as it fits it on the rail system. If you wanted to put 4 different sights on it, you can. You know, you can customize guns when it comes to the length, the size, the different stocks, the different ammunitions that it takes inside of it. So it's just like there isn't a game at the moment what really compares when it comes to the weapon modifications in Escape from Tarkov, and it's one of the things that actually keeps the game very fresh, because of the different customizations you can do to certain guns, and there just isn't a game out there what replicates that to this day. And last but not least, the risk to reward system. There just isn't a game at the moment for me what replicates the fear of losing stuff and the fear in game of your heart pounding when you're kind of like filled with loot and you've got to try and get your way to the extract to get out of the game. There just isn't really a game what kind of replicates that. I mean, I used to get this very, very early on in the Battle Royale genre when PUBG first released, and H1Z1 used to play, and you get to like the final circle and there's like 4 or 5 people alive, and you get that rushing, heart-beating feeling that just kind of like gets your adrenaline going. I don't really get nowadays, but Escape from Tarkov, I've been playing for 4 years and I still get that to this day, because everything has value in this game. So when you fear of losing it, you get that excitement, that rush that you're gonna be able to get out of there. And like I said, because you only really survive with those situations when you kill a lot of people and get the stuff out, it only happens very rarely, probably, I don't know, 10% or 9% of the time for even the good players, then it just adds to that excitement even more, and you just don't get that with any other game, for me anyway, at this point. Now on to the bad. Now, one of the things that kind of affects me and annoys me the most is actually the spawns in Escape from Tarkov. Now, this is only to certain maps. Some of the spawns are okay on different maps, but for instance, a map called Reserve, I really like the map itself, but I just hate the spawns, is we use all the players kind of spawn within a really, really close proximity of each other in the open. So when you kind of like within the first 30 seconds, you're guaranteed to get into a fight with somebody, and that can't be fun sometimes, because you know you spend all that time building a kit to then go in and die within the first 30 seconds, because that is very likely to happen, especially if you're going up against geared players and you're not actually geared yourself. It can be very, very frustrating, and like I said, because that happens so early on, a lot of the players die out. Then for the next 25 minutes in the map, you're just not really seeing anybody, up until the point when you might leave and happen to bump into somebody from then. And I think this is something that they are addressing and trying to change, so I'm just hoping for it in the future. Probably the biggest point I wanted to speak about is about how punishing this game is, because I don't think at the moment anyway in my head there are any other FPS shooters that are as punishing early on, especially for new players, than any other game at this time. And that is due to the ability to not have any help or guides at the beginning part of the game to show you what you're supposed to be doing. So for instance, the maps, there's no map layout, no map you can look at. There are maps in games, but they're terrible, but you have to kind of bring them in with you and not lose them to kind of show you the extracts, but it doesn't tell you exactly where you are, and it doesn't really give you any description about how you need to leave and where you need to go to even get out of the maps in the first place. And the only way you can learn this is from playing the game offline or learning them on YouTube videos like I did. But even when you like see it in a video, doesn't mean that you will necessarily know what you're actually looking at when you're running around inside the game, and this can be a big problem for a lot of people, and especially the quests too. Like the quests just aren't descriptive enough to be able to tell you like what you actually need to do, and a lot of it is very confusing, especially for newcomers when it comes to knowing anything, or even how to mod guns and what mods go on which guns, because it doesn't tell you that either. So the only realistic way you can learn that is from wikis and from YouTube videos, hence the reason why the YouTube community on Escape from Tarkov is just so massive, just to help out new players, because we want people to be involved in this game, and hence the reason why people like me and other people make content on this game, because we just want more people to play it. But like I said, because it is just so punishing early on, and because it's a game where you die very easily and the downtime in between games is very long, it can put a lot of people off this game. But like I said, if you can just get through that and then push through those problems, then it is a very rewarding game. I already kind of touched on this in just the last point, but waiting long times in between games, because when you die, you have to then build another kit before you can go into it, and the load times for the servers can be quite delayed sometimes 5 minutes to wait before you actually load into a different raid with somebody, and then obviously you're building your kits and doing your other hideout stuff in between that, so sometimes it can be 10, 15, 20 minutes before you actually get into another game, especially if you die early on in the first 30 seconds. It can be a dramatic waste of time for some people, and that is another big put off of the game. This next problem is actually a problem for people who played the game for a longer time than it is the new players like yourself, is actually the tasks, because a lot of the tasks don't get changed very often, and for somebody who goes for a wipe, for instance, I don't know if I mentioned what a wipe is, so every 6 months the game resets back to 0 again, everybody starts from ground 1 and has to work their way back up and completing the same quests again. But if you've been playing the game for 4 years, you're doing the same quests about 9 or 10 times over and over again. It can get very, very monotonous. They are working on that, and they are making changes to it, and they're now added in things called daily and weekly challenges, what other quests you can do to progress with your traders, and this is another way they're kind of combating that by not relieving the boredom, so you don't actually have to do those quests, you can just progress in other ways if you'd like. Now I want to move on to the different versions of Escape from Tarkov you can purchase. This goes from all the way from the standard account at the cheapest up to Edge of Darkness, what is the most expensive. Now I'm going to write off the two versions in the middle. There are two other versions you can purchase, but they are just worthless and really not worth your time or your money, so I'm going to concentrate on the standard and the Edge of Darkness account. Now the only reason you would buy the Edge of Darkness account over the standard account was if you were guaranteed that you were going to play the game for a long time, because it is 115 euros, what is a lot of money, and the things that you get with that is better starting equipment, you get a bigger stash to begin with, you get a bigger secure container for you to be able to put your items in, so if you die they still get out, and you also get access to all 4 of the DLCs for free when they do release in the future, but we have no idea when they're going to be coming out. The game has been going for 4 to 6 years now, and we still don't know when the DLCs are going to be coming, so that could be 4 years away from now, so it's only really relevant for those people who are going to be playing the game for a long time. Now the reason why I recommend the standard account, obviously one is the cheapest for those new players who aren't sure whether they're going to be playing this game long term, is that you can get the bigger stash size from the Edge of Darkness account from grinding out the game. You can get a secure container what's only 1 square different by grinding out the game, and you can even get the Kappa container what is bigger than that Edge of Darkness secure container if you really do grind the game out. I have never got this, but this is something that you can do if you would like, and obviously it's cheaper, so like I said, you just aren't really having to fork out that massive amount of money at the beginning if you don't know whether you're going to be playing the game long term or not. Now on to the future of this game. Now Escape from Tarkov has been a game, as I've mentioned before, it came out about 4 years ago out of beta and has been in alpha I think a year or two beforehand, so it's been around for about 6 years, and they've done multiple content patches, whether it be adding new maps, new weapons, new attachments, changes to the look of the game, the sound, voice over IP, and loads of other things. And like I said, they do podcasts that they do on a monthly basis with Nikita, who is the creative director of Battlestate Games, who make Escape from Tarkov, and he outlines to us all the time about like things they're going to be adding for the future, plans for the future of the game, and how the game is doing sales wise, all this kind of stuff. And the game has continued to grow over the last 6 years and is continuing to grow for every content patch that they add going forward from now, and they've shown and outlined a lot of the stuff they plan to add in the future. And this game has got content coming out for at least another 3 to 4 years, so this game is not going away anytime soon, and if it continues to grow at the rate it is, it will end up being one of the biggest FPS games there ever was. So if there's a game that you're looking for that has got longevity and is going to be around for a long time and not just going to be a 1-year release like Call of Duty and then next year you're on to the next one, then Escape from Tarkov will be the game for you. So in my conclusion then, if you're looking for a new game that is so much different from any other FPS game that you've ever played and is guaranteed to have your heart pumping, and you're okay with bugs, server related issues, the intense learning curve for new players, then I think Escape from Tarkov will be the game for you. Now, and if you have any other points that you wanted to add, and any other Escape from Tarkov players currently who play the game who think I've missed something when it comes to pros and cons about the game, please do leave them down below in the comments as well, and like and subscribe for more videos coming from me in the future. Have a good day.